Hey there, Disney fans. Welcome back to our channel. Here are some of the best movies available on Disney Plus right now. Number 10, John Carter. It's about this guy named John Carter, and he's just kind of stubborn badass guy. He's been through wars, he's killed people in his past, and he kind of gets zapped to Mars, and it's filled with this race of people that are at war. But those aliens look like humans, and the other guys are green and they're fighting. After John Carter arrives, he realizes that because of his human anatomy, because the gravity is used to on Earth, he can jump like super far. He's really strong, so everyone starts to look at him as a possible leader or someone who can put an end to this war. And John Carter meets this princess. She is about to be forced to be married to the leader of the enemy, and she, of course, doesn't want to do that. So John Carter has to hopefully try to fix this war problem and stop her from being married to a guy she doesn't want to be married to. It set up this world really well. The plot was well developed, and the action sequences are great. The cinematography is absolutely fabulous. Number 9, Mulan. Just like the original animation, this tells the story of a young woman who takes the place of her father because he's older and he's injured, and he will most likely die if he goes to war.
This time he will not return.
So she pretends to be a man, suits up, and goes off to battle. While it continues with the same storyline, there are a few key differences. The cinematography in this movie is stunning, and the landscapes are just beautiful and breathtaking. Liu Yifei plays Mulan, and she captures the character that we watched in the animated film so well. She's snarky, she's smart, and she also has a lot of charisma and charm. The story in this is still really solid. I mean, it's going based on the source material, and it's following what we saw in the animated film. Mulan 2020 is not a slow movie, but it's also not non-stop action. Battles are great, and the character interactions are sometimes intense, funny, awkward, and pretty believable too. Number 8, The New Mutants. It feels very different from every other superhero film. It's basically just 5 people locked in a medical facility, being told that there's something wrong with them. And they're sort of discovering what their powers are and what exactly they can do, and they have to learn to get along with one another. Despite their different personalities, it's interesting to watch them develop. It's also a horror movie. On the horror front, it's a bit of a build-up to the third act. At the beginning, it's just kind of strange things are happening. In the second act, it gets more tense, more dangerous. And by the third act, mutants are needing to use their powers to battle all the demons that are showing up. Anya Taylor-Joy very much steals the show, and the film also has an impressive cast that includes Maisie Williams and Charlie Heaton. The New Mutants runtime is only 94 minutes, and that actually felt about right for the size of a film. There are only like 6 people in the movie, and not a bunch of extraneous plot lines and subplots. It's pretty focused on this group of characters building their relationships with one another and the mystery of this hospital. Number 7, A Wrinkle in Time. Directed by Ava DuVernay, and is a story of young Meg, who loses her scientist father, played by Chris Pine. He disappears. No one knows where he is. He was experimenting with this strange idea he had that could bend the universe and travel light years in seconds, and he vanished. There was no note, there was nothing. He's just disappeared. As the story unfolds, we see that Charles Wallace has somehow summoned the 3 misses. When they are arrived in his daughter's backyard, Meg, her brother, and her friend go off on an adventure through time and space to try to find her father. There are some very touching scenes, most of them involving this family. Storm Reed, who plays Meg, is very good in this movie, especially in some of the more emotional scenes. This is a visually stunning film. Number 6, Eternals. An unexpected tragedy forces the eternal ancient aliens, who have been living on Earth in secret for thousands of years out of the shadows, to reunite against mankind's most ancient enemy, the Deviants. The story very quickly transitions into a big action sequence that showcases what each of the Eternals is able to do. The film will take us from the present to the distant past, to show us moments surrounding a certain character. And this allows us to not only learn about the Eternals, but also get transported to some amazing crafted cities. The cast for this is amazing, and this movie is one of the longer Marvel films at 2 hours and 37 minutes, but it didn't matter because this is an introductory story with a bunch of characters. Overall, Eternals is an immersive story that transports us around the world and throughout time. Number 5, 10 Things I Hate About You. The movie is about 2 sisters. Kat, who's the older sister, and she has a younger sister named Bianca. And the younger sister is kind of more into the popular crowd. You know, she is starting high school and she wants to be in with all the cool kids and stuff like that. She wants to go date and go to prom and all that. But Kat doesn't care at all about that. She wants to be in a rock band, She's into poetry. She's kind of like this emo goth type character. No interest in dating or anything like that. And they are being raised by a single father who is very protective, his younger daughter, who again wants to be out there and date and all that stuff. He tells her, okay, you can date when your sister dates, knowing very well that she has no interest in that at all. So the movie then becomes a bit of a comedy. This movie really relies on the charm of the lead roles. You have to be willing to care about what's going on with them and be charmed by them. Number 4, Logan. First of all, it is so refreshing to see a superhero film that is a smaller, personal kind of story that focuses on character and personal struggles, rather than trying to go for the typical world and peril type of plot. The movie focuses on this old and tired Wolverine, but he still has his powers. He can still rip people to shreds if he needs to, but it's not quite as easy as it used to be. And he is trying to take care of Professor X, who is not doing well either, and ends up being responsible for a young mutant girl, who is being pursued by some bad people. And she's a very important part of the story. Overall, Logan is absolutely worth watching. If you're a fan of X-Men, it is a different and personal dramatic take on an aging superhero. Number 3, Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast of 2017 version is the remake of the 1991 animated Disney classic, which itself was an adaptation of a very famous French fairy tale. In this latest version, you have a prince who was cursed because of his selfish nature to live as a beast, as well as all of the members of his castle. They're now operating as clocks and candlesticks. And we have young Belle, played by Emma Watson, who's obsessed with books, who gets trapped in his castle. And she has to learn to love this beast, to hopefully reverse that spell. This film almost follows the original 1991 animation. There are extra scenes, and there are a few story elements that have been changed and shifted around. Emma Watson and Dan Stevens and the entire cast did a very good job. This is a gorgeous-looking movie. All of the costumes and the sets are so glamour. Everything looks absolutely stunning. The music, the set design, the performances, the whole feel of it was all captured so well. Number 2, Avatar: The Way of Water. After destroying box office records back in 2009, James Cameron's long-awaited Avatar sequel, Avatar: The Way of Water, has finally arrived in 2022. Jake Sully lives with his newfound family, formed on the extrasolar moon Pandora. But once a familiar threat returns to finish what was previously started, Jake must work with Neytiri in the army of the Na'vi race to protect their home and his family. So Jake takes his family to the ocean, where he believes they're going to be safe. While there are dramatic sequences and then slower, visually fascinating scenes, there are also a lot of action pieces that work to create some huge tension. The actors do a great job of remoting and creating expressions that convey everything from just intense joy to incredible sadness. Overall, Avatar: The Way of Water manages to deliver a spectacular ocean-themed view of Pandora. Number 1, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever is once again directed by Ryan Coogler and is the highly anticipated follow-up to his very successful first film. The film opens in a way that really deals with T'Challa's passing and then begins to move into the plot surrounding Wakanda and then the encroaching world powers and the examination of loss and grief. It doesn't come from just one angle, but it's seen through a few different perspectives. In this movie, there are funny scenes, there are tragic scenes, there's a lot of actions, and Black Panther 2022 has done a great job with the action sequences. VFX is significant in this sequel, particularly with the water effects, because the main villain is Namor, and him and all of his baddies tend to use water grenades that explode water all over surfaces, and it's very dazzling. And also Namor has wings on his ankles, and it allows for some really fun action sequences, and his backstory is fleshed out and given a bunch of context. So overall, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever honors Chadwick Boseman's performance and character while still managing to move the story forward, to continue the spirit of what he had begun. Well, this is it. Thanks for watching.